When is it around? The box. Pause it? Yeah. I'm gonna sit right there and I'll be back and forth. All right, it's 6 o'clock. We ready to rock and roll? You give me a signal, boss. I'm ready to go. I in charge today. Good evening, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, I see a lot of familiar faces here, but for those that don't know me, I am Moffatt Brathwaite. I am the Public Information Officer for the VI Port Authority. I'd like to thank you all for coming after a long day of work to be here with us tonight to discuss proposed plans to build a cultural events park at the Enighed Pond property. As most of you are aware, we were appropriated $400,000 from the VI Legislature to design this park, not build it, to design it. Now, we call this Townhall because we wanted it to be your park. This is St. John, and we want St. John's input. I know you've all seen a plan circulating. That is not the Port Authority's plan to build that park. We want the park to represent what St. John wants. So this town hall will not be a presentation of plans that we have. It's actually a town hall to seek input from you. What would you like? What would you like to see? What were your needs, your wants? Basically a park for the community. We will have, speaking tonight, our Executive Director of the Port Authority, Carlton Dowe. We have our Director of Engineering, Preston Bayer. And I'm sorry, we have Scott Legou. I got it right? Yay. Thank you. And then we'll have a question and answer period after the presentation where I'll pass around the mic. And I also have a little note to myself. We are having some viewers via Zoom. They will be submitting questions via the chat. So we'll, at the end of your questions, we'll go to Zoom and ask their questions so they get heard as well, okay? The Zoom link is on the Virgin Islands Port Authority's Facebook page. I posted it today. It should be the first page, as the first post as you go onto the page, okay? So with that being said, I will turn the mic over now to our Director, Carlton Dowe.
Thank you, Moffatt, and good evening to all. It's always a welcome time to come up to St. John and listen to the ladies and gentlemen of this community as we have discussion. I want to first start by introducing my staff, because this is not Carlton Dowe, it's a staff at the Port Authority who is engaged every day to do these kind of things. So I would like the staff at the port just stand up so I could quickly, so people could put a face to the name. So the gentleman there, you could wave your hand, that's Mr. Charleswell. He's the project manager. Next to him is Ms. Annie Hart. She's the Deputy Executive Director. And next is Mr. Kai Smith. He's one of our young senior civil engineers. In the back there, that's Police Chief Elrod Wilkes. Hopefully we don't need none of you tonight. And then next I have, you could wave Ms. Rainy President. That's the lady that runs the parking properties in particular. She's out of Red Hook. Then we have Mr. Joey Cranston. He's the marine manager for the for St. Thomas St. John District. And of course, Sergeant, help me again, Holder. He's a true Virgin Islander. We'll leave that one right there. Then I have on my right, Mr. Earl Thomas, who is an electronics engineer. So that's another one of the youngsters that we have. I call them young all the time. Who else I have here? And then that's Lieutenant Smith. That's our IT director, manager. Rush, you get a promotion and you didn't take it. And I miss any staff. I just want all of us. Oh, geez, I'm Bree. That's Mr. Dale Gregory. That's our assistant director of engineering. He's been at the Port Authority as long as most of us been alive. But Dale is always a pleasure to have. He knows the nuts and bolts as, to the authority. And next I have the HR director. When we finish tonight, somebody might be looking for a job. So I always want to make sure the HR director is there. And of course, this is the boss, my chief of staff. That's Miss Julie Harley. If you're in St. John and you don't know, I don't know what to tell you, but that's Julie Harley Holder. Sorry. She whispered, Holder. Okay. And I also want to recognize quickly these folks in the House. That's Senator Dwayne DeGraff. We're glad that you could come. Senator Milton Potter, I'm glad that you could be here as well. My staff could sit unless you're running for the Senate. Anybody else have? No. I just asking if any other senator that I see here. No, I want to recognize the president. Who? I want to recognize the president of the Virgin Islands Legislature, Donna Fred Gregory. Thank you for coming. Don Henry, good evening. You could stand up, tell the people you're running. Good. Okay, all right, good. But anyhow, I'm really glad that that all of you could be here. I want to just quickly some house cleaning stuff. The folks from Moffatt and Nichol, that's the Port Authority's consultant of record. And now that we're in a public space, I want to tell everybody that Moffatt and Nichol have been working for the Port Authority for some time, but they get to work for the Port Authority through a competitive bid process that the Port Authority puts out. We, by federal statute and we have to keep on board all time a marine consultant, and that's the folks who were selected. So that's who will be doing most of the presentation tonight. So every few years, that RFP goes out, and whoever want to apply. But that's how they are on board with us. It didn't happen tonight for this. Then I have Mr. Preston Breyer, you met him. That's our Director of Engineering. In 2019, the Port Authority came up to St. John, we put out some feelers, and part of what we want to say to each and every one of you tonight, while we're gonna have ideas from everybody in here and those who not here, that's fine, we welcome it. But at the end of the day, what we want is the people right here in St. John to organize themselves so that we could build consensus and we could have exchange, that at the end of the day, we can have a product that most of us, because we'll be naive to think that whatever happens in the future, that there wouldn't be some people don't like it, I upset, ain't how I want it. But we still have to be able to come to consensus. And I think that there is no better place for us as a people, as a community, to come together and say, you know what, let's do something good. Let's do something great. Let's do it right here in St. John with the kind of input from everyone and valuing people's position, whether or not we agree with them. And as we have the discourse later this evening, I'm telling you at the outset, when we open up the floor, we expect folks to engage with us, ask questions, make your personal comments, and that's fine. But we're gonna do that from a reasonable standpoint with utmost respect to everybody in here, even if we don't like what a person is saying. So it ain't gonna be that kind of party and we ain't disrespecting a soul. We could come together as people and have dialogue and then move forward when the day is over. But start with me this note, because I want all of us to understand this just didn't start today. December of 2019, the Port Authority held a meeting right here. We asked for some stakeholders. Wow, this is difficult, but that's my friend. And the first name on this, it wasn't designed that way, was Robert Bob O'Connor Jr., James Penn, Delrise Valak, Leona Smith, Andrew Rotnick, Shaquan Hill, Senator Payne at the time, Clarence Stevenson, Shakima Jones, Kurt Marsh Jr., Mary, let me just say Mary. It looked like Bartolucci. I hope I close to it, okay? And of course, Matthew Berry and some staff from the port. I brought this and so that we could understand that this is December of 2019. So it's always within the Port Authority to try to bring organizations together so that we could start, and I would want you guys to develop on some of what's there. There was a gentleman who is an architect right here in St. John. That's him there? Sorry. Good. So this gentleman was to a couple of the meetings that we held. I'm saying and giving you that historic information so that we say we don't need to reinvent a lot of stuff. If you have an interest, you make contact with these folks and organize so that when that time comes, we could kind of say, you know what, this is something that the masses, and it ain't gonna be everybody, but could rally around when we take off. I also want to recognize the fact that it's a legislature, and sometimes we have a hard time dealing with these stuff. But as a former senator, I know how we got here. We got here, we could talk about what we want, but we got $400,000 from the legislature. This isn't to build anything, but it's to start the process of design. So I want to, again, publicly, since people are listening, publicly thank them for this piece of legislation that provided for that. Just like we have several other, probably within the next month or so, depends on how things go, we expect to start the Laridine Boynes dock. Again, help from the legislature throughout that process. So you have to recognize the fact that this $400,000 to start this came from the Virgin Islands legislature. At the end of the day, too, I always like to remind people Carlton Dowe works for a 9-member governing body. So I could say whatever I want. I still have to convince a majority of 9 to do anything. But at the end of the day, it's those board members, after the staff has deliberated, do the due diligence, and come to the board and say, hey, here's the plan that we want to go with. Here's the plan that the masses of the people in St. John, is satisfied with. It's no secret that, and it's not something that we're doing and of all this comment. We're not building something or trying to put something there only for the sake of of Carnival or the festival. There still must be that kind of green space, open space where a senior, a youngster could feel like going and could go and cool out, relax, do whatever they might want. To me, all of these things drives quality of life. A lot of us travel all over the place and we talk about how nice Bishoy in Miami is. We've got to be able to do similar things right here in our home. And I still will underscore, I know the masses, that as long as we have a majority of people feeling good, then we have arrived. So the fact of the matter is we need those kind of areas that people can go, relax themselves, relax, take your children, your grandchildren, or whatever you might want to do. But at the same time, nobody should try to make us believe that there is something wrong with us trying to have a facility that festival can be held. All of us know, and I like to come up here and hang out, all of us know that the parking area we have there has kind of outlived its usefulness for what we do. It's a fact. But what do we do about it? We have property, the port have property. When they were doing the dredging, all of fill material was dumped there. It's basically a sludge area. And then you ask yourself, well, how are they going to do that? Well, all these properties along the waterfront was built on piling. The engineers, and that's what, I am not an engineer. That's why when I got this job, I went and found young, bright Virgin Islanders, who all of us should really start to give a level of respect for the competency that they bring to these jobs. So we expect to be able to engineer a product, and that's what Moffatt and Nichol and our engineers would be doing, that that we could do the things that we want to, and as a community. There's about 3 items, and as I turn over in a minute to Moffatt and Nichol, there are a couple basic things we want to accomplish and achieve. But whatever we do, it's with the consistent discussion with the public and this community until we get where we really want to go. So the Port Authority that I speak to you tonight, we do not have some clandestine map, drawings, design, anything. This is a clean slate, like when you go to school the first day, and they give you the paper for us to now draw and create what we really want to see. So it's nothing that we have designed for the most part and in some architectural way. The other thing we made abundantly clear to Moffatt and Nichol, in this same St. John community, there are people with skills and background. And we must be able to harness and tap the people right here in St. John. Like I've said to them, you're gonna have to reach out, and there are architects right here that live in St. John. You reach out to those folks. Sorry. Folks who sit, please. Oh, you waiting for me? Oh, that's a firefighter. Give him a hand. I go ahead. Yeah, that's a firefighter. Some of the best people I know. I wonder why. And this retiree back, this is one too.
I got it on my phone,
Good to see
but I
everything.
couldn't find the link.
But I
On
just
internet.
want to kind of close what I'm saying. I want to make sure I hit these little things.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I say to each and every one, tonight, let's use this night as a beginning as to how we should approach what we really want to do and accomplish as a people. I don't have time for pause. I don't have time for a lot of procrastination. We
I
get
think
out, we go
this
through
is
this
the Port
process,
Authority
we come to
direct.
consensus. I'll